Hello and welcome back to my show. It's a very wet and slightly steamy Sunday, and Socks is asleep on my lap in my study, and he's really warm, but it's quite cozy in here. That's going to be the theme of today's video. Like I promised, I want to talk about some of the books that I find cozy. It's not just mysteries that are cozy, it's every genre. There are books in every genre, I think, examples of things I find cozy. The word gets hackneyed and bandied around quite a lot these days, but I think it's important that certain books have the ability to draw us back into their world. Often they're part of series, and we go back to visit the characters again, to visit the milieu of the books again. And most of the books I've picked out really are from series, I think. Some of them aren't. I've decided, thinking about it, that no, it's not just mysteries. And in fact, when you read cozy mysteries, it's not the mystery you're after particularly. It's the feel of the place, it's the environment, it's the secondary cast of usually eccentric and warm-hearted characters. It's a kind of soft-hearted genre, I think, and that's good, because we don't need every book to be challenging and something that's going to kind of rip the flesh off your bones and make you scared and make you stay awake all night fretting about the state of the world, or turn all your preconceptions upside down. Sometimes we just need books to reassure us and take us somewhere where we can relax completely, in the sense that the world of that book or that series is always going to be there, and always going to be a particular kind of way. It's always going to be reliable for us. It's never going to let us down. That's what cozy fiction, I think, is. It's having this resurgence recently, and I've read a few, and a few of the ones that are really being pushed by their publishers, and I'm not going to name names, I find a bit callow and a bit fake, to be honest. I don't find them that genuinely cozy. I keep going back to my favourites in the genre. So I should talk through some. Just in the order they appear here. Let's start. I realise that lots of them, but we'll see. We'll see if they fall into the same genre. Here's the oldest, first of all. Map and Lucia, E.F. Benson, which it's got a bit dusty. This is a lovely copy from Prion Humour Classics. I don't know what else they did, but this is just a really nice edition of, is it the first one or the first two? I think it's the second in the series, actually, I think, Map and Lucia. He had series about the two different women and then brought them together. And together, just like heart to heart, they were moida. It's two very snobby women moving into each other's orbit in this seaside town in, I guess, the 1920s or 30s. It's a very snobby, silly society. Their preoccupations are small and trivial, but it's everything to them. The watercolouring society and the fates and the fairs that they hold are all a reason to stab each other in the back. And even the most trivial things become great betrayals. There's something very, very funny and cozy about the world of Tilling. It's a little pocket universe. Whatever else was happening in the 20th century, these very privileged, silly people were carrying on just as they fancied. Because of Benson, we can go back and share that with them. And oddly enough, we don't resent their trivial nature, their frivolousness. It's quite a feat, really, because sometimes we do resent the frivolity of very rich people. In fact, we almost always resent it. But in Map and Lucia, there's something very special about the atmosphere. So I definitely recommend E.F. Benson. Many years later, now we're in the 1990s, I guess, a similar kind of story, Ladies of Letters. This is the book version that Granada produced in, don't know when, sometime in the 1990s. I actually think it might have been in the 1980s this began as a radio series, a drama on Woman's Hour on Radio 4. Two voices, two women writing letters to each other very politely, and gradually they become less and less polite. And because we just have the letters and their individual voices, we invent the world behind them, and we see how they're not always telling the truth and how everything lies between the lines. This went on for several years into the 2000s. I don't think they do them anymore, but it was a wonderful series as it went on. I think this is the first two runs of it in one book, and it works just as well as a book. And hearing the voices in your head, it works just as well as it did on radio when we were helped out by Patricia Routledge and Prunella Scales, who give these amazing performances. But thank goodness there's a book as well. It was Carol Heyman and Lou Wakefield wrote the whole thing. And Lou Wakefield also wrote 4 novels. This was my favourite of the 4. This was in the early 2000s, and they kind of, they're contemporary comic romantic novels, I guess. What they would have said at the time, they would have called it chick lit, which is a kind of slightly idiotic term for contemporary women's romance with a comic edge. I loved all of them. They are very, very funny. And they're different characters and a different setting. This is the Italian one. But there's something about the world she conjures that's intensely cozy. And I don't know why. Tuscan Soup. Comic novels often have that feel, that cozy feel to them. Even something like Cold Comfort Farm from way back when by Stella Gibbons. It's ludicrous, but it has this warmth and silliness to the atmosphere that makes you want to go back to it. I think comic novels are good things to return to soak up the atmosphere a bit more. This was Tuscan Soup. There was also, maybe there's a list. No, could be her first one. Anyway, I'd recommend, I think these are out of print, but if they turn up now and then, and they're worth picking up. I should speed up. Something I read many years ago at school, or we had read to us, by the most formidable of our secondary school teachers, Scary Mrs. Nicholson, who terrified the life out of us and didn't really teach classes. She was an old school teacher, and we were about 14, 15, and she sat us down and she just read to us. It's very odd, even with a class that wanted to learn. She just decided that we wanted to be read to. And so she read us Huckleberry Finn, doing all the voices, and My Family and Other Animals by Gerald Durrell, which, I reread, look, according to this copy, in 2010 on holiday. And I think it was just as good. It's about Corfu. I think before the war. I think it's the 30s again. I'm not sure. It's certainly kind of towards the mid 20th century. And it's this idyll, this island paradise where there's a family of eccentrics. This is another big feature of books I find cozy. A big family full of eccentric characters who are all doing stuff. They all have their own complications and their own obsessions. And our point of view is often the youngest person looking out at all this adult craziness, and that's very true of this. Jerry is the youngest kid, and he's the narrator. It's a true story of his family, and he becomes obsessed with animals and birds and grows up to be a very famous naturalist. And this is him coming to grips with observing and learning about the animals on the island, but also learning about the people that he knows. It's a very cozy book to go back to. Now, bang on the genre. Cleo Coyle's Coffee House Mysteries is my favourite of all the cozy mystery series that I dipped into over the years, and the one I read the most of. I think I've read about 10 of these. Other cozy mysteries I should have shown you, I don't know where they are now, Leslie Cookman's series as well. She was an early cozy person I read. And there's various others, American ones more than English ones. Leslie's stand out as different to the others because they're very British. This is very American. This is very New York. This is book, numbers this, 5 or 6, I think, in the series. Latte Trouble. They always have these punning titles as well, whatever the theme is. And of course, these ones are all coffee, and they're based in Greenwich Village, and you get to learn lots about different bits of New York with each book. And they're sassy, is the word. So they feel cozy, but there'll be the sudden murders and sudden violence, or a bit of spiciness. Yeah, I'd like to go back to this, actually. It must be 10 years or more since I last read one of these, which is ridiculous. I need to return. And of course, that's the great thing about this genre. You can return. And I think I'm going to have to return tomorrow. I'm trying to make slightly shorter videos and spacing things out a bit more. So I'll stop there. And as you can see, I've still got quite a heap of cozy books to get through and tell you about. So maybe Socks will be awake when I do the next video. What do you think, Socks? Anyway, see you again soon. Take care.